All right, episode 156. Welcome back to the podcast about, the stuff we find utterly fascinating in the tech world. Jenny, how are you doing today?
Hey Mark, I'm doing great, ready to dive into something honestly completely new for me today. You've been buzzing about something called DAPs?
Oh man, DAPs, digital adoption platforms. This is one of those areas that's kind of quietly exploding, and I think it's because they solve a problem everybody deals with, whether they even realize it or not.
Okay, you've definitely got my attention. Problem everybody deals with? Like, trying to figure out a new app without feeling completely, bewildered?
Exactly. That feeling of opening a new piece of software, right? Whether it's for work or personal use, and you just think, okay, where do I even start with times? DAPs are designed to fix that. They're basically this intelligent layer that sits on top of existing software to gently guide you through it.
A layer on top? So it's not, built into the software itself? It's sort of like a digital assistant that lives outside the main app?
Think of it like those little pop-up tours or guided walkthroughs you sometimes see when you log into a new service. But way more sophisticated, way more integrated. They can show you exactly where to click, explain features times in context, right when you need it. And some of the advanced ones can even analyze how you're using the software to offer personalized help, almost predicting where you might get stuck.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So instead of digging through a user manual the size of a small novel, or sitting through some long, boring training video, you get real-time help right where you need it. Like a helpful ghost in the machine?
Precisely. And this is why the market is just, wow. The numbers are pretty eye-opening. We're looking at a market that was hovering around $621 million in 2023. And according to some projections, it's hitting over $3.8 billion by 2032. That's a significant leap.
Wow, that's a serious jump, Mark. From under $1 billion to almost $4 billion in, less than a decade? That's a noteworthy growth trajectory. Why is this particular space seeing such rapid expansion times now?
It's tied directly to digital transformation, which we definitely talk about a lot on this show. Companies are adopting more and more software tools for everything. CRM, ERP, project management, you name it. The more tools you add to the mix, the steeper the learning curve gets for employees. DAPs are purpose-built to smooth that curve out.
So it's about reducing that friction because companies are, frankly, throwing so much new tech at their employees all at once. It makes sense. If people can't figure out the new tools quickly, the significant investment in the software itself doesn't really pay off, does it?
Exactly. It's fundamentally about optimizing the return on investment for software. If your employees are spending weeks just trying to navigate a new system, that's lost productivity on a massive scale. DAPs accelerate user proficiency, getting people up to speed faster.
Are there differences in the growth number predictions you found? Because sometimes these market reports have slight variations, right? The methodology can affect the outcome.
You hit on a key point there, Jenny. There are times slightly different figures depending on who you ask. For example, some reports had it closer to $1.5 billion in 2024 and reaching over $4.6 billion by 2032, which is even higher. The slight differences generally come down to how they define the market segment, which companies they include, which related services are counted, and their projection methodologies. But the consistent theme across all the research is significant: rapid growth. We're talking a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of around 20 to 25% on average, which is a very healthy clip.
Okay, so the precise number might vary by a few hundred million, maybe $1 billion, but the trend is abundantly clear. This market is expanding quickly. Who is primarily using or driving this market right now?
Right now, the big driver is definitely the enterprise segment. Large companies rolling out really complex, sprawling systems like ERPs and CRMs. Imagine the sheer effort required for training, ongoing support, updates needed for thousands of employees across different departments just to use a new enterprise resource planning system effectively. DAPs become essential there, minimizing disruption.
Okay, so the bigger the company, the more complex their software stack, the more they desperately need a DAP solution. That logic holds. Are smaller businesses using them too, or is it mostly the big players?
Yes. The research indicates that while enterprises hold the biggest share of the current revenue, they're the whales, if you will. SMEs are also increasingly adopting DAPs as they go through their own, perhaps less massive but equally important, digital transformations. As cloud software becomes more accessible and affordable for smaller businesses, the need for easy onboarding and effective usage for their employees goes up too.
So it's not solely about huge, complex rollouts, but making sure even simpler-seeming cloud tools are used effectively by the whole team, across multiple functions. I can absolutely see that need. What kinds of specific applications are DAPs commonly used for? Where do they shine?
Anything that's critical to business operations and inherently has a learning curve. CRMs for sales teams are a classic example, making sure reps log data correctly and follow processes. ERPs for finance and operations, obviously given their intricacy, but also things like project management tools, HR software, even internal communication platforms if they're sophisticated enough. If a piece of software is key to employee productivity and people need to use it times from day one, a DAP can significantly help.
It almost seems like a no-brainer when you frame it that way. Reduce training costs, improve employee efficiency, and speed to competency. It just makes sound business sense. Are there any particular industries where DAPs are making an especially noteworthy impact right now?
Healthcare is a really interesting one, and kind of a compelling example. Think about electronic health records, EHR systems. They are notoriously complex, and errors can have pretty serious consequences, ethically and clinically. One case study I saw mentioned a hospital dramatically reducing their EHR onboarding time, using a DAP that provided context-specific, role-based guidance for different staff members. That's a substantial deal in an environment where time and accuracy are not just about productivity, but potentially life or death.
Healthcare. Okay, that makes sense. The stakes are so high, and the software is so complex. Any other industries seeing similarly significant adoption?
Finance is another strong adopter, given the inherent complexity and regulatory requirements of their software systems, and the absolute need for accuracy in financial transactions. And really, any industry with a robust sales or customer service operation relying heavily on sophisticated CRM tools will find DAPs valuable.
So it sounds like practically everywhere companies are using a lot of specialized software and critically need people to use it correctly the first time. DAPs are becoming relevant. Let's talk geography for a second. Where is this market strongest right now in terms of sheer size, and where is it growing the fastest?
North America currently holds the largest share of the market, over 40%. That's honestly not surprising, given the maturity of the tech industry and SaaS adoption levels here. Companies in North America have been quicker to adopt cloud-based tools across the board.
Right. Early adopters established tech infrastructure, a culture of rapid software updates. Makes sense they'd be leading the pack currently.
However, and this is where it gets particularly fascinating, Asia-Pacific is projected to have a considerably higher growth rate, potentially over 25% CAGR, compared to North America's around 20%. The accelerating pace of digital transformation happening across countries in Asia is driving a huge and urgent demand for tools that make new software accessible and usable quickly for a rapidly expanding workforce.
That pattern is pretty consistent with other tech trends we see, isn't it? Established markets holding the current lead in terms of revenue, but fast emerging markets showing the fastest acceleration in adoption. What about Europe? How does it fit into the picture?
Europe is also a significant and robust market for DAPs, seeing solid growth, though maybe not quite the explosive percentage of APAC. The dynamics there can be a bit different, sometimes influenced by diverse regulatory environments and differing business practices across countries. But the underlying need for better software adoption and employee efficiency is definitely present and growing.
So North America is the current dominant leader in size, but Asia Pacific is undeniably the one to watch for rapid expansion. Are there specific features or underlying technologies that are becoming especially important or driving innovation within DAPs themselves?
Oh yes. This is truly where the tech nerd in me gets a bit excited. AI and advanced analytics are becoming increasingly crucial components. Instead of just showing a preset linear path or guide, advanced DAPs are starting to use machine learning to understand individual user behavior, identify precisely where different people are struggling or spending too much time, and then offer tailored, much more personalized guidance proactively. It's moving towards help that anticipates your needs, not just reacts when you ask for it.
So the DAP can literally learn from time-specific actions and behavior? That's pretty smart. It can perhaps even predict where I'm about to get stuck and offer a helpful hint or shortcut before I even have to pause and search for it?
Exactly. Think back to that healthcare example. Imagine an AI analyzing a specific nurse's workflow in the EHR system over time and, based on their past interactions, providing a specific, context-aware tip about a less used function right as they are about to need it for a particular patient record. That saves precious time and can significantly prevent errors in critical tasks.
Okay, that is undeniably pretty cool and genuinely useful. I can see how AI dramatically enhances the effectiveness of these platforms. What else is on the immediate horizon for DAPs?
Vertical-specific solutions are really gaining traction. Instead of a generic one-size-fits-all DAP, you're seeing platforms with pre-built templates, workflows, and integrations optimized for very specific industries like finance, healthcare, retail, or manufacturing. This approach means substantially less customization work and faster time to value for companies in those sectors.
So the DAP is already halfway, maybe even 3/4 trained or configured for that particular industry's software and common processes? That would definitely speed up implementation dramatically.
Massively. And looking a bit further out, we might even see things like augmented reality or virtual reality integrated for training in complex physical-digital workflows. Imagine overlaying real-time software instructions directly onto a real-world piece of equipment connected to that software. We're perhaps not widely there yet for most businesses, but the potential for highly realistic, hands-on training is quite intriguing.
Okay, now my imagination is starting to explore the possibilities. AR/VR training seamlessly integrated with real-time software guidance layered on top. That does sound like we're stepping into science fiction territory, but it makes logical sense for training on complex, hands-on tasks that interface with software. Who are some of the big players dominating this space right now?
When you look at the current market leaders and the companies most frequently cited, names like WalkMe, WhatFix, and AppLearn come up consistently. They've been in this space for a significant time and have built robust, feature-rich platforms with a substantial customer base.
I've definitely heard of WalkMe and WhatFix mentioned in tech discussions. What are they doing specifically to stay ahead of the curve and maintain their leadership position?
They're constantly pushing the boundaries with deeper AI integration, expanding their analytics capabilities to provide more actionable insights to businesses, and building out those sophisticated industry-specific solutions we talked about. They are also actively expanding their sales and support presence into those faster-growing regions like Asia-Pacific, recognizing the opportunity there.
So it's a combination of ongoing product innovation and strategic geographic expansion. Are there many new companies aggressively entering the market, perhaps challenging the established players?
Yes, definitely. Especially in regions like Asia-Pacific, you're seeing a good number of startups emerge, often focusing on specific niches within the DAP market, or bringing new technological approaches to the platform itself. This increased competition is healthy and pushes everyone, the established players and the newcomers, to innovate faster and provide more value.
Well, more competition typically benefits the customer, right? More features, potentially better pricing options, more specialized solutions. It sounds like this market is not only experiencing strong growth, but is also quickly becoming much more sophisticated in its offerings.
Absolutely. It reflects a growing understanding across businesses that simply having great software isn't the finish line. You need your people to be able to fully use it, effectively and efficiently, to realize the software's potential. DAPs are rapidly becoming seen as an essential part of the standard digital toolkit, not just a peripheral nice-to-have.
And as software continues to become more complex, and companies utilize an ever wider array of different types of software, that inherent need for effective adoption tools is only going to intensify. It genuinely does tie back directly to that initial, simple problem you mentioned right at the start. Everyone, at some point, struggling with figuring out new software on their own.
Right? It's incredibly relatable. We've all been there, staring at a screen wondering, okay, what do I do to make this thing work? DAPs are fundamentally the automated, scaled-up answer to that moment, designed for the complexities of the modern enterprise.
So to encapsulate it, we've got a market that's growing significantly, fueled by global digital transformation, with strong current adoption in large enterprises, expanding rapidly in dynamic regions like Asia-Pacific, and getting demonstrably smarter with the integration of AI and highly tailored solutions. That's quite a bit happening in one space.
That's a pretty accurate wrap-up, I think. It's definitely a space I'm going to be watching closely, because the fundamental impact on how we interact with software and how productive we can be with it every day is only going to get bigger.
Me too. Thanks for walking me through that, Mark. It's genuinely fascinating to see how a solution addressing such a common, everyday frustration is scaling up and turning into such a substantial market.
My pleasure. Always fun to dive into the tech that's subtly but significantly shaping our digital lives. Until next time, Jenny.
Until next time.